What do you do after calling off your engagement? I'm 25, my partner is 26, and we've been together almost 5 years. About a year and a half in, he asked me to move in. I agreed, but I made one condition crystal clear. If we lived together, I expected us to be engaged within a year. I told him I didn't want to share a home with someone who wasn't serious about marrying me, and he agreed. But after moving in, our dynamic shifted. Because he made more money, I covered less of the rent, and somehow that translated into me doing everything else. I cooked every meal, cleaned, managed the laundry, did the grocery shopping, scheduled social plans, and kept track of bills and birthdays. He had a very sheltered upbringing, so I even found myself teaching him basic life skills. Over time, I didn't feel like his girlfriend. I felt like his mom. The imbalance led to tension. We started bickering, then arguing then. We spent a year and a half in couples therapy. Therapy helped us argue less, but it didn't fix the deeper issues. I brought up my feelings of carrying the entire load and how selfish he became. He'd nod, say he'd work on it, and then go back to the same. I also repeatedly asked about our engagement. We had already been living together for nearly 3 years, but every time, he had a new excuse for postponing. Finally, after years of me begging, he proposed in May. I was thrilled. I thought this meant he was ready to step up. But nothing changed. Recently, my income went up and we decided I'd pay 30% of the rent, since he still earned significantly more. I assumed this meant he would take on at least 30% more of the housework. Instead, nothing shifted. My work hours are long and irregular, so when I'm not home, nothing gets done. The apartment is constantly a mess, and when I bring it up, he gets defensive, saying I'm keeping score, or that his ADHD makes chores too overwhelming. Wedding planning has been another nightmare. I wanted a small wedding of about 100 people, but he expanded the guest list to 150, without even asking. He avoids every conversation about planning. Last week, I tried to have a serious talk about everything: the housework, the wedding, the lack of balance. Instead of engaging, he said if I wanted out, he wasn't going to beg. That turned into me crying and begging him, saying I did still want to marry him. After talking to my therapist and best friend, I convinced myself I could push through. But yesterday, after a day trip where we bickered nonstop, I broke. On the car ride home, I told him I was done. I laid out everything: how I felt like his mom, how he shut me down whenever I tried to communicate, how he never followed through. He cried, yelled, then begged for one last chance. Just give me a week. Give me a day, he pleaded. I said no, but he pressed so hard I eventually agreed to give him a day. The truth is, I don't want another day. I've already given years. I'm embarrassed to tell my family and friends that I'm calling off the engagement after waiting so long for it, but I also know embarrassment isn't a reason to marry someone. I love him, but I don't believe he'll ever change. Do I give him another chance? Or do I finally walk away?